All right, what's up, everybody? How you guys doing? We've got semi-finals for you, and it's a treat. Look at this, the positioning already. Oh my God, Polar Bear Mike destroyed Meerkat on the defensive. Low. Yeah. So, as you can see, Hatmaster and Define Pride, the brothers, the Joust brothers, Duel brothers, whatever you want to call it, up against Meerkat and Polar Bear Mike, the ex-Randozos. We're joined by Lord WizKid.
Yeah, and we're going to be seeing a very interesting game already. One kill going the way of Define Pride, and yet another sash. Meerkat's taking so much damage. Hatmaster's going to finish him off, and Define Pride is just chasing PBM. Nice little knock up into the wall, but not enough damage to finish Define Pride off. At least PBM keeps himself alive a little bit longer. That sprint definitely helped just a small bit. But look how aggressive the brothers have gone. They have 2 heavenlies. 2.
That's right, yeah, and aggressively used heavenlies. You think definitely the heavenly for an Osiris is a great pickup, but to use those just off the bat that aggressively is pretty funny, man, especially given their opponents. When I was talking about before the game starts, Polar Bear Mike, Meerkat, you know, at least Polar Bear Mike, obviously a pro player, Meerkat, former pro player. They are... You know, they entered this and said that they're going to win it. To me, they said that they're entering to win, you know, not just as a joke. Uh-oh. That's an ultimate from both. Will the damage be enough? It absolutely will.
Although PBM going to do a huge amount of damage to Define Pride there. Now running away, though, because he has no mana.
Yeah, mana is such a important factor in these early engagements. That's why Ymir wasn't able to push up against Polar Bear Mike towards the Phoenix in the early game there when we saw him looking at him. Didn't really have enough for the full combo. If he were to wall, he'd only have enough for like the freeze and not the 2 as well. So yeah, I mean, you always got to be very aware of your mana usage in this early, and it's such an important part of Duel, Joust, it's Smite in general. I mean.
Yeah, Meerkat finally hitting level 5 though, gonna have that Lord of the Afterlife if he wants to use it, but both Define Pride and Hatmaster are going to be very awkward characters to try and hit it. Although, while you were gone in between the break, me and Spiff just had to sit down, and I have a prediction of something that's going to happen at some point during this game. Define Pride is going to try and sash onto PBM. PBM is going to beat it, use his ultimate as soon as Define Pride lands, and then Meerkat's going to follow up with the Lord of the Afterlife and destroy him. Yeah, that is my prediction. Whether it comes true, we'll have to see.
Yep. Now, Meerkat is definitely, to my knowledge, a stranger to Duel and Joust, whereas Polar Bear Mike actually has played quite a bit of Duel. He's liked it a lot outside of top level, I think. He doesn't like when it starts to get too serious. Like, he likes playing warriors and stuff, but then when it becomes, you know, like ADCs building double defense and, you know, just that kind of stuff, Chronos, all the top tier shit, he really just, I think, had an issue with that, as, you know, most of us do. So, yeah, he knows his stuff when it comes to this game mode, and I expect him to be able to do big things here. But off to you know, rocky start, as the team has just been, I guess, you know, started out getting ganked and then yet again just chased down. So they're gonna have a rough early game here, especially because Osiris is supposed to really, you know, flourish in this early poke game, and it should be overwhelming, honestly, the poke from Polar Bear Mike's Hebo along with the Osiris from Meerkat. That's a really strong poke composition, but they really do not have it as much anymore.
Meerkat realizing that this is the exact same situation he fell into last time.
Right, exactly.
Have that wall. He could do what he wants. Prospect hits PBM.
Ooh, Define Pride a little too much. Ooh.
There we go.
Wow. The response, yeah.
Not quite as I predicted just yet, but that was pretty close.
The Define Pride way too bloodthirsty there. I think, you know, you get that mentality. You're going up against, you know, pro players, and you're styling, and you want to keep styling, you know, so you got that momentum about you, and you just want to, you know, just like let it rip and just keep going. But he just kept going into the tower, into a beads Hebo, and he had already beads the sash, so like he just immediately decided to ult without, you know, taking a second, or not. You didn't have a second to think between the sash and the ult, right? But you know, the quick moment to realize.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things. When you're playing Naja, you get very much into this mentality of you 3 and 4. You can actually put your ultimate input in just a little earlier than when you actually land. So most likely he forgot that PBM had beads, just immediately used that for a little too early, realized the beads was up as soon as this Ashe was beads, and then just couldn't do anything since he used his entire kit to get there. Meerkat getting CC'd out, taking quite a bit of poke from Hatmaster here, although he does try and get a bit of poke damage in return, actually doing a lot more than I expected. Sash used on Meerkat just to slow him down again. Look at how much damage these guys are doing.
Look at that ring's awesome. Oh, wow. Ooh, look at that max range ultimate coming out. He's going to bounce back to his original location. I'm not sure they'll be able to find a... Oh, well, Mike actually is going to bring himself right back to the fray, and the ring bounce finds him before he goes down. Really good play honestly from both teams, but of course benefits Team Blue. They come back into this strong, and they're actually looking great right now with Meerkat having a sizable lead over everyone, just doing a great job conditioning the enemy team, poking them out, and forcing them to go on the aggressive when, you know, it might not be in their favor.
Do you want to know why PBM survived that Naja ultimate?
Why?
Tank boots.
Oh my god. Yep, my man definitely has tank boots. 75 health, got the crowd control reduction going for him. He's ready for battle. He recognizes it's a very CC heavy comp, and he does not want to be bullied all game.
Yeah, he wants to make sure that Frost Breath is not going to be doing a lot to him. Plus also that little bit of a passive to get those tiny little bits of physical and magical protection is actually just enough to try and keep him alive during some of these very early engagements, especially as Ring Toss will actually proc the boots consistently. So nice little item pickup from him, and he's gone straight into the Baron Cross as well to get that extra power that he does lack from picking up the tank boots. Meerkat just doing a huge amount of poke here, and PBM is helping him trying to follow up using that water spout into the 1.
Yeah, there's that poke game there, just really laying into Hatmaster here. But you know, they've got a good amount of poke of their own in that ring toss. So Meerkat and Polar Bear Mike both taking quite a little bit of damage from that. It's really weird that Divine Pride rushed Heavenly Wings upgrade. Like he went to tier 2 a bit for some reason, when neither of them I feel like are gonna benefit that much from it, especially like with disruption from Polar Bear Mike's 3. So I'm not too sure about that, honestly. I think it's a little bit of wasted gold.
Yeah, it is a bit of a waste, but it's only 500, and you're probably going to get it later. All the Afterlife you use Divine Pride does still finish it off, but Crushing Wave, PBM is just doing some work on this Hebo.
Meerkat was so intense on going back in that, even though he had 1 HP. he might have been able to just get out clean, but he wanted to ult back in. Did set up for Divine Pride's death, but of course spelled his own as well.
Yeah, I think Meerkat is sort of going to be acting very similar to that sort of meaty tank frontliner, but rather than being too meaty, he's going to be looking for just doing whatever he can, trying to get as much damage out as possible, because he knows that PBM has some sort of survivability in the backline. He can try and keep himself up, keep himself available for getting this Crushing Wave off and finishing off Divine Pride whenever he's used that ultimate, and has absolutely no way of getting away from PBM.
Yeah, and this tanky carry build, we've seen a lot from Divine Pride as well, always going into a good amount of defense despite being, you know, who should be the carry out of the composition. As we noted last game, Ymir actually ended up with more damage items than Naja overall. So it seems as though a lot of the Joust 2v2 compositions rely on you going some defense despite being a hyper carry in a lot of positions. But it's also, you have to be very careful not to go too much in positions where you really need that damage, like we saw with the Gambit's Chronos.
We can actually see Hatmaster actually already counter building very early on. Rather than going for that sort of defense item, he's already built into a wing blade to try and make sure that Meerkat can't really slow him down too much, can just move around freely and start setting up a couple of things. But Divine Pride looking for PBM, look again. Purification a little early this time.
Look at that. Yeah,
huge amounts of damage though.
So much more damage coming out from the blue team overall than the red. I feel like they forced out a lot of actives, but they just got countered so hard there. The engagement just went so wholly to blue team. because of the ultimates unused on red team. They're really relying on that wombo combo, and Meerkat and Polar Bear Mike have been so aggressive that they just have not allowed it to happen. If you don't let the picks happen early on, then I think this team of Ymir, Naja, you know, doesn't end up being one of the top contenders, whereas you have a Hebo here with Osiris. Like, that's just very strong on paper, no matter where you go with it, what kind of you know, strategy you employ. That's just two of the best gods in this mode, or at least one of the very best in Hebo.
Yeah, I mean, Osiris is also pretty strong in Conquest because he's able to help set up a lot of players, but also have his own damage and CC to really start shutting people down. Going into a most likely Shogun's early on, trying to get like Shogun's Osiris to get that increased attack speed, but also have that magical protection away from Hatmaster. Could also be looking to go into the Genji's Guard just because it does provide a lot of extra cooldown reduction. However, I don't feel like Meerkat particularly needs that extra cooldown reduction, especially since he's already got that Gladiator's Shield to 10%.
Yeah. Yeah, that is true, actually. Yeah. Gladiators, it's more, I think it's just a show, you know, showing his hand as he's going to be very aggressive. You know, he's trying to get that damage started so that he can have Mike, you know, clean the kills up, rather than just rely on Mike be the only source of damage overall.
Divine Pride coming on the backside around here. I don't know if PBM and Meerkat know it. Instead, he's going to play it a little bit safer and go back into the towers. Heartmaster is taking quite a bit of damage here. Purification, missing the ultimate. Oh,
yeah, actually,
no.
Yeah, it wasn't even beads out or anything. Just straight up missed it. In between both of them, you hate to see that happen. But Divine Pride is still alive. The sash comes out. They're going to be able to take. Oh no, they're not. A very good Aegis, and that's going to be boom. Dead Hatmaster. That's the worst feel too, especially against Hebo. When you get him down that low, you know he is, you know, moments away from death, and the Aegis comes out. Suddenly, he's got his entire combo back up because it's Hebo, and they're up, you know, every 3 seconds. So there you go.
If PBM didn't have that Aegis, that would have been 100% kill going the way of Hatmaster. That would have really started to turn the velocity of this fight into their favor. But instead now, PBM's still just pushing on ahead. Already has this obsidian shot, so now he's going to be ripping through anything that Divine Pride has built, which he's currently only got the Bulwark of Hope. We don't even see Hatmaster with any sort of magical or physical protection item currently.
Yeah, he's just going straight into the damage. And that's not like him. I mean, usually, of course, in Duel it's like him, but in Joust, we even saw him starting out some defensive items earlier on. I'm surprised to see it, especially up against the Hebo, knowing that he can just get, you know, he can get 100 to 0 so quickly, just like Naja can here, if he's not going to set himself up for any sort of defense. So, yeah, weird choice from him here. I think they need more of his front line, especially when Naja started off like really popping off with his huge lead. You know, he had 3 kills to his name within the first like 2 minutes of the game. So I think, yeah, that's quite a bit of a mistake on their part.
Yeah, not to mention as well, in the last game we saw Hatmaster, you were talking a lot about how he likes Polynomicon. This time around, he's sort of accepted that he's not really going to be in that melee range as much, at least not when he wants to be. So having to go for the Bancroft talent instead, just to try and hope that he gets enough lifesteal and power off of that, rather than going for the very quick burst damage that can provide.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Looks like they want to try and stop this BDK start. But
yeah, I think it's definitely a bait here, but Mike was actually caught out, but unfortunately Divine Pride couldn't get the ult out in time. Beads are up, so he'd have to try to get like a raw ult and hope he doesn't beads in time if he wants to get this. They're just going to bully Hatmaster here, and look at that. Oh, wow. Sprints popped, and Lord of the Afterlife at the same time, but that passive from Meerkat just walks right through the wall. Oh, man. Any other character would have been, well, would have had a Hatmaster escape there, but Meerkat is going for this. Wow, he actually, why would he turn? He wanted with his 2, but it's still...
Divine Pride, oh no, he so nearly got out. Meerkat might still pay the price for it.
Yeah.
Divine Pride does at least get something, but now PBM started up.
That was a flex, though. You know, that was an absolute flex.
Definitely a flex. I think that was actually mostly him living due to the tower shield. He hasn't actually finished off the shifted shield yet, but once he does get that done, maybe he can start feeling a little bit safer versus Meerkat. It's going to take a little longer for him to feel safe versus PBM, though, because of course they changed Shift to Shield a while back, so now it only gives magical protections when he's below 50% HP.
That's right. When's this Meerkat fella gonna be back in the SPL? You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. He's definitely doing a good job though.
And they open it up to 2v2.
Ooh,
Mike going for another defense item in this cloak. I guess he's going for the what is it called? Was the you're dropping it just like me.
The Mantle Discord.
Yeah. Yeah, so going Mantle Discord as well.
Right.
That is a tanky Hebo, but the difference is in this position, Hebo can afford to do that because he's so ahead already, you know? He's already naturally going to be putting out so much damage that he doesn't have to worry about missing out on power in his build. So he just wants to make sure
Smite just crashed. So
oh, shit.
Slowly getting into the game.
Okay, no problem. Ooh, Meerkat again finding the dive there. He loves killing people in the fountain today. That's just his thing. And he's still going for it again against Hatmaster.
Yeah, looks like this game could actually be over pretty soon because right now PBM and Meerkat are just absolutely dominating the brothers. Just they can't do a whole lot versus this because as soon as they try and go in, PBM's just got that knockup just to make sure that Defiant Pride can't really set up that Naja ultimate perfectly how he normally likes to see it.
Yeah, I really do think that this team composition is just like the perfect counter to show that the Hatmaster, Defiant Pride, the Zha Ymir thing is just it's a little too gimmicky to be relied on as you go further on into the bracket. I think teams that actually draft strong base compositions are gonna be able, especially after you've shown your hand and they already know that this is your comp. You got to be able to vary it, or you're gonna get squashed.
Yeah, I mean, you missed the pick phase as well. You saw PBM immediately picking up the Hebo and then realizing that this Osiris is going to be a really fantastic sort of match to make sure that whenever Hatmaster or Defiant Pride goes in, then Meerkat can just try and finish it off. And if they do get away, you've then got that wall, that passive, which just allows Meerkat to go through walls. We saw it earlier, and just is making sure that the tools that Hatmaster has to try and zone away people is really just not effective right now.
Yep, exactly. It was very smart to pick up the Osiris specifically in this position. And I mean, the Hebo is just a given. If Hebo's on the board and the enemy hasn't picked it or hasn't banned it, and your first pick, you just pick that. It's pretty much a given.
Yeah, it's definitely.
And it's just it's not something you can counterplay too well into. Unfortunately, it's very, very hard, especially when you have someone as mechanically strong as Polar Bear Mike behind the wheel, along with Meerkat just wreaking havoc and making it so hard for the enemy team to even prioritize Mike when Meerkat's doing so much damage to begin with. So great stuff from team former pro and current pro.
Yeah, I mean, that was just downright good play from both of them. Defiant Pride and Hatmaster definitely stood a chance versus them. That early double kill effectively.
They did, definitely.
That was fantastic, but they just couldn't keep that momentum up. And once PBM started finding a couple of kills, and it was really that ultimate where Defiant Pride went in and just PBM immediately used the crushing wave to get 2 kills. That was really the turning point, and they were just able to finish it out from there.
Yeah, for sure.